And I overheard the doctor explain to my mom that unfortunately I will never ever walk again.
If you know it's inside of you, I'ma believe in what you
And
can.
then I said, no, don't worry, mom, because I overheard everything and I'm fine with it. I was prepared for that. It's almost somehow I knew this is going to happen.
Isn't it? Isn't it funny how we
Anything is possible if you believe it. And I have the honor to speak with somebody that I admire so much, Martin Sodoms. Today I'm speaking with an artist, with a man that takes anything that life throws at him and he changes it into art, into something beautiful. From feeling like, what I love the most about Martin is how he has created freedom for himself in a situation where most of us will feel trapped and imprisoned. Martin is going to share his beautiful story with us now, and you will see through this story that anything is truly possible if you believe it. Martin, how are you doing?
Great, thank you very much, and thank you for having me.
Ah, it's my absolute pleasure. Now, I think we should start off by telling people that you're probably one of the most amazing and gifted artists, and we will show some of your work while I'm talking here, so that people can just see how talented you are. But what is more amazing is that you paint all of these works with your mouth because you are paralyzed, right?
Yes, I am paralyzed, and my diagnosis was that I'm a tetraplegic. But the common word that we use is quadriplegic, which means we are disabled from the chest down, and we partially disabled actually from our chest down. There's movement in the arms and so, but we can't use our fingers and our legs.
Okay, so
So,
you can move your arms a little bit, but not your fingers.
but not my fingers, yes. Unfortunately, that part of my body got injured. My spinal cord got severed. So um and that caused my to lose my fingers, the motion in my fingers.
So
Uh,
from just to understand, I mean, you can move the arms a little bit like this. I saw that you can move the arms, but you won't be able to do anything with the fingers like this.
no, nothing at all. That is where the way my spinal cord got injured when I had my diving accident. My sixth and seventh vertebrae actually severed my spinal cord.
Okay,
And
and we're going to get into that story because I just think it's a fascinating story of and you know what I love I had the privilege to read something that you wrote about your life and how you actually said that was the end of your old life and the beginning of your new exciting and colorful life. For me that was just like wow, nobody would even like think of it. They will think, okay, it's the end of my life, basically. But you saw it as a beginning. And this is what I so love about you, Martin. Your ability to take whatever life presents and to turn it into art, into color, into beauty. So, yes, let's talk about that. Can you tell us what happened? So you were 22 years old, right? When this accident happened.
yeah, I was 20. Yes.
And I just wanted to say, at that point, your partner was pregnant, and or did you already have a baby, or so you were a
No,
dad already, or was it an expecting dad?
I was an expecting date. My daughter's mother was 6 months pregnant at the time. I was 22 years old, working. And then, fortunately for me, my holidays actually fell just on that time of Christmas. So then I went for an holiday to my hometown where I grew up. And I never thought anything about it. Just I went on the 24th of December, 1996, and on the 26th on Boxing Day, I went for a swim. And within not even 10 minutes, I was disabled
Did
because
you
I don't.
jump? Did you jump down from a big object, or was it in the
I,
ocean?
no, I actually, it was at the river. I actually dove from a high embankment, and just the water actually broke my neck.
So you didn't
I
hit an object. You didn't hit an
didn't hit
object. It was just,
the
and you dived head first.
head first, yeah. Unfortunately, that's what happened. I dove head first without having my arms stretched out. Because normally when you dive with your hands stretched out so
Yes.
that your hands break the water and then you go through. And unfortunately, I didn't do that. I just went first
So
head
you
down.
broke the water with your head. You went head first.
Head first, yeah. And the hardness of the water actually, when
Wow.
it broke my neck, yeah, because it was in a high bank. But I
So
can't even.
how high was it, do you
It
think?
was. Oh, I can't even remember. I can't even think how high it was. So, but it was quite high.
So you were
It was,
quite brave to actually dive
yeah,
from this high spot into a river. Was it a moving body of water or was it
no,
still?
no, it's still water because at that time, the rivers is running water in winter time, but in summertime it's standing still. So it's slow moving water actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very.
And you knew that it was deep enough. Did many people jump in from there?
I think that's the problem. I actually underestimated the deepness also of it as well, because what happens in wintertime, some from the other farms in the upper areas from where we live, then a lot of stuff, debris and stuff comes through the river, and I think it filled that hole actually also up, but like I said, it was never the stuff underneath that broke my neck. It was just
Was the
total.
water?
But a
So
lot of people said now it was in the sandbank and this happened, and the people realized no, but it couldn't have been because not even in hospital there was no sand, there was no nothing in my
yeah,
head,
there was no bump or anything.
no nothing. No,
And
there was
so
no
as you
bleeding.
hit the water, you said, as I hit the water, you said you heard something snap. Did you feel it or did you just sort of hear it?
I didn't feel it at all. I just hear a cook like a snap, like almost like a twig that you snap. And
Wow.
that was it. And I was disabled immediately because I tried to lift my arms or swim out and I couldn't lift. I was looking at my arms and I saying to my arms, lift up, and they were just hanging there.
They
And I
weren't
couldn't.
responding. You were
Ah,
sending information. But listen, could you stand or were you now floating?
I was floating.
And now, obviously, if you can't sink, what's happening? Are you sinking?
I was thinking, I was just floating, just hanging there. And the other problem is when we were younger, my friends and I, we used to make jokes, dive in and to stay underwater and make it a joke. And my friends, at that moment also, they thought, ah, he's just making a joke again, like he did, all these years. Luckily for one of my friends, he realized that, there's a problem. I need to help the guy.
And
And
then
then
did he come to
he
help you?
jumped in and he left me out, yeah.
So
And
he
then
basically saved your life.
he saved my life, yeah.
Who's
He
this
did.
friend? Do you want to quickly tell us about this friend?
Our best friend is a life friend. We grew up together. I grew up in an area where we never had electricity. It was always dark, and so his family they had a TV, and they used to watch TV with a car battery
A car
connected.
battery. So he
And
was
then,
the friend who
oh,
had the TV, so everybody
yes,
go there.
yeah, we go there, and we would do chores to just assist them. His parents also do little chores, maybe bring wood or something just to go watch TV. And we grew up to be quite like brothers almost, you can say. And I was almost like a child, like in the house. So yeah, we were very very good friends. But now we were grown, and he worked also in Cape Town. He had the job, and then he was also there for the holidays. And luckily for him now, he saw at that moment that there's a problem. And he saved me and pulled me out. But unfortunately, unfortunate thing happened to him. He went back after my accident. I now went to hospital, and he went back in January, back to his job. And he had a friend at work that was a security, and it's this one man, small little security bungalows. I don't know what really happened, but apparently he went in there. I don't know if they ate or what, or just made jokes or talking that okay. And this guy, for some other reason, took out his firearm and it went off.
So
And then
was it an accident for the gun?
an accident. Then the bullet ricocheted from one of the, corners or whatever, and into my friend's neck, and he was also then disabled. Left disabled, also a quadriplegic, but he was much higher up than me. He would have um, he was worse off than me. So I was
So what
in
happened? Did he survive for how long was he a paraplegic and did he survive?
he was a quadriplegic. He survived, but just before a few days, at that time, he was still at Grooteski Hospital, and I was at Conradie Hospital at the time. So he was waiting for on a bed, and just a day or two before they could move him, he passed away in
Are you
1990.
telling me, Martin, that in the December, like was it you said Boxing Day, so that 26th
Yeah.
December, right?
Yes.
This accident happened and he dived in and he saved your life.
Saved me.
And then the
Yes.
very next month, January,
Yes.
this accident happened and he was actually killed.
And he was
He
killed.
also
Yes.
was the first paraplegic, but then he passed away.
Yeah, he was. He would have been also a quadriplegic, and then he passed away. But he would have been.
I have a belief that we come into this world with
Yes.
divine timing. I believe
Yes.
we come with a sole purpose.
Mm.
And as you're telling me this story, I feel like I want to burst into tears. I'm just feeling that his divine timing, that what he came to do here was to save your life so that you can go forth and become this magnificent being that you are and touch so many lives with your paintings, but not just that, with your courage, with your kindness, with your compassion, with your love. And oh, I'm tearing up. So he fulfilled his life purpose and then moved on and then became
And
part of all that is again. How
I,
beautiful.
I agree with you. I agree with you more than 100%, to be honest with you. I
There must
also,
be a great gratitude and love for you, for your friend, right?
yeah, definitely. And
Ah,
luckily, we also, when we were growing up, we really loved each other, like brothers. Like
like
I said,
brothers.
yes,
Sure. And then
because
you said that this was very hard on his family, but I read somewhere that you said that his family forgave the person who
yes,
accident shot their son.
and it was so beautiful and so profound because they invited him to the funeral and he was there. He was one of the bearers and at the funeral and
You know,
all.
forgiveness is probably one of the biggest virtues that we have come to acquire in this lifetime. Forgiveness for ourselves and forgiveness for others. And when I see acts of forgiveness like this, it just warms my heart so much. So, Martin, here you are now, paralyzed. Can you
Yes.
tell us now, from that moment, he saved your life, and you said you weren't exactly, you were still fine when they pulled you out. You thought it was a pinched nerve. So, can
Yes.
you tell me the mental process of when they actually told you, listen, you are actually paralyzed?
That happened months after the accident, actually, and they didn't directly tell me. It has so happened that because of the pain, they put you in an induced coma. So I was in and out of that,
For
and
months? For months?
not for months, for a few weeks. Yeah, but in that, because now it was now I had the accident and now they operated on me and all that. So then they put you so that your body don't, because you won't feel, I personally won't feel the pain, but my body will, you know.
Yes, your body's experiencing the
Yes,
trauma, but you might not
yes,
be aware
yes,
of it.
yeah, yes. So I wasn't aware of that. So then they put you in the coma, but then it's likely. So you go in and out. You like, but
So
uh,
Martin, is the goal there so that you don't move too much? Did they tie you down?
yes, I had what they call an EPCO on my head. It's like two rods on the side there, and then
So
it
you're very
also
still. You're very
yes,
trapped.
yes. You're very trapped. But then what happened was as I went in and out of this thing, the one day my mom came to hospital, and then the doctor explained, and they thought, I'm out, but I was not completely out. And I overheard the doctor explain to my mom that unfortunately, I will never ever walk again. And when I was now completely out of it, I mean,
Awake, like
yes,
awake.
awake, yes, awake. And then my mother said, "Now listen," and then I said, "No, don't worry, mom, because I overheard everything and I'm fine with it. I understand it." And to me personally, at that time also, I didn't realize everything, but it was like I was prepared for that. for what happened to me. It's not like it's almost somehow I knew this is going to happen because even before I went home, other years I wasn't in such a rush, or there wasn't something that pushed me to go home. But on the phone, on that at that time, there was just something about that I had to go home. I phoned my mother because there were no more taxis going um to my hometown to Genade. Now there was no, so phoned my mom and said, please, you must make a plan. You guys must come and fetch me. I must go home because this was just something in my
So
chest pounding.
there was something pulling you. There was a
Yeah,
call.
telling me, yes, telling me I have to go home. I have to go home. I have to go home. It was
Now, do
over.
you think that if you're thinking back now, this call,
Yes.
was it a doom's call, or do you think it was a mercy call or a call of grace? Like, I mean, the worst thing that could properly happen to someone happened to you. So would you see this calling as a terrible calling, or was it a grace or a blessing?
No, it was a blessing. It was a grace because to me now, after many years later, I just feel it's part of me. It was, it's kind of my divine journey. It's not like it wasn't a calling to hurt me or anything. It wasn't to hurt me, but it was to just prepare me, for something greater, I think.
For something
Yeah.
greater. You said it's almost like from the very beginning when you heard this that you are now paralyzed. You said
Yes.
almost from the beginning you were in full acceptance. Is that true?
Yes, 100%. I never felt so. Sometimes we do little talks at schools and church or wherever people invite us to come. Then I feel so. I don't feel like that anymore. But in the past, I just guilt because now the other guys, maybe we four guys, all of them say, now I went through this. There was a time I sat in the corner for 6 months, and I didn't want to talk to my family, and I was this and this. And then the other guy, yeah, I did this and I wanted to take my life and I wanted to drink, and a lot of things. And I was married and I pushed my family, and I don't have that. I
So,
don't have.
so you've been
Oh,
listening to everybody who's gone through the same thing, and there
yes,
was a period of them being bitter and
yes,
angry and
there
wanting
was,
to die, and you said you just
yes.
didn't feel that?
Yeah, and some will say I was young. I'm 22 years old. My life is only starting now, and I never ever did that. Never.
Why do you think is that, Martin? What is it that made you just immediately accept?
It's like I said now earlier. I just think that is part of my journey on earth, part of my divine journey. The reason why I'm here on earth. It is part of it. Is part of it. I can't see it any other way. Because for me to just accept everything, just it's like I was prepared before that this will happen to me,
It's like
and
you
this is
almost had a feeling like something big is going to happen. And
it's
when does
just yeah, sorry, and yeah, it always there was always this feeling that something will happen, but I can't describe it. I don't have the capability of the knowledge at the time to say, look, I know for a fact this is this, or But as I grew
the
older,
feeling?
and yes,
It was just
and
this feeling.
it was just this feeling, yeah.
Okay, so
And
now you have a whole new world. You can
yeah,
no longer use your body from the neck down.
from
You
deep
can move
down,
your arms like this, but you can't use your hands, your
you can't
fingers, okay,
now.
or your legs or everything. So I can see you can move like this,
Right,
a
okay.
little bit this, and maybe
Yeah,
use your arms. Can you use to lift
yeah,
yourself?
yeah. No, I can't lift myself. Physically, I can't lift myself. But I can use my
But you
arms
can
for,
use the arms like this.
yeah, and I gym and I do lots of stuff with the arms.
But you can't actually lift yourself like from
Now,
the bed to the floor or
no,
from.
no. And unfortunately, yeah, or unfortunately, if from day one, when after I had my accident with the rehab and came home and I exercised according to my lesion of in my ability, I were able to transfer myself, dress myself, and all of that. And I said to someone just earlier this morning, I said to my focus when I came home out of that hospital, my daughter was born already. She was born in March. and I got home in that same 1997 in August. So my whole focus wasn't to put myself in bed, to dress myself, to do this. Even though if I, with a bit of exercise, I would have been able to do it. But my focus was, and I grew up with it in my heart because I grew up without a father. I just wanted to be there for my daughter and raise my child and be, financially. I never wanted
So,
anyone to look after my financially other than myself. And my focus was just that at the time, and
so
not
was
this.
this your motivation? Your
Yes,
newborn baby was your motivation to
yes,
go
to
forth in life and to create some form of income still to look after
yes,
her?
look after her and to raise her. And I'm not bitter that the fact that I didn't grow up without a father. In fact, I'm actually happy. And my grandmother was a single parent. My mother was a single parent, and they raised me to be a man. Like to take responsibility. They did a very, very, very good job. To be honest, my parents.
I loved how you told the story about your grandmother and your mother. You said both of them were like domestic workers, house helps, help people in their houses and stuff. And you described in your story a beautiful upbringing of where you were very spoiled and loved and taken care of when you were a child. And you said that both your grandmother and your mother had dreams. Your grandmother always wanted to be sort of like in the medical or like a healer,
Yes,
a
yes,
nurse, and your mother wanted to be like a social worker. And
yes.
and and I loved how you said that none of them actually had the papers, but through the work that they did, your grandmother delivered many babies, and your mother actually helped raise many children in the homes that she worked. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was so happy that I could tell them that when I was still here, because the last was just say a year or so here before my mother passed on, and we were talking, and I said to her, "But mom, you did that." She said, "No, what do you mean?" I said, "But you did. The way you look after other people for all these years." And then she was like, "Ah,
Ah,
like that Oprah moment when
the
people
penny
are,
dropped. The penny dropped. And you came
yes,
to remind her that she actually was a social worker. She worked with many children, encouraged them, was there through their
yes,
sadnesses and griefs and everything. Wow. I think it is so beautiful. Like, we have sometimes a way of looking at life, and then we miss that we've actually did achieve what we wanted to achieve because we are looking at from the wrong perspective. But if we just change our perspective, then we realize
yes.
it was all perfect as it
It
as
was
it is.
perfect. Yes, it is. Yeah, and what I also wanted to add is with my growing up, a lot of times some parents will tell their children, yeah, you see, we're struggling and we don't do that because your father wasn't here, his absent father was that. They never raised me with it. They never ever, they never said my
So
struggle,
so
understand?
both your mother and your grandmother, they weren't bitter. So they weren't talking bad
No,
about that.
nothing at all. I always tell people when we talk now, I tell people about my life, and I always say, the only thing I wanted, if it was, if I could meet my father, not to be bitter and ask him for money and scold him or what. I just wanted to tell him I love him. That's it. That's
Ah,
how I,
Martin.
that's how I
Martin,
was raised.
is it fair if I'm saying that you are this loving, compassionate, kind man and forgiving man today because of the two beautiful women and all the women in your life, your mother, your grandmother, the
And my
mother
whole,
of your child and your daughter and your sisters? Seem to be surrounded by beautiful women.
yes, no, that's true. And also my village, I must say my village, the whole village, because it's not a big village, which is quite fairly small. And the whole village raised, helped raise me.
They say
And
it
like
takes a village to raise a child,
yeah,
right?
that is true. And like you said now with my sister also, when I had my accident, my sister was only 13 years old. And she helped, she looked after me. And years later, 7 years, not, it was 13 years, not 7 years later, about 5 years later. Yeah. After she finished matric, then she came to work for us. Um,
When you say come to work for us, she worked at the centrum
what
where
she
the
started working as a
paraplegic.
carer. Yes, she started working at the place where I stayed, where you met us at the Spotify in 2009.
So when
Um,
Martin refers to me meeting him many, many years ago, Martin, I don't know if you remember the year.
it was in 2009.
2009.
Yeah.
I remember that I came to do a performance at is it this Centrum where for the paraplegic quadriplegics and to it's like a charity show to bring in money for the Centrum, right? And this is where you and I met. So are you
Yes.
telling me that when you had this accident, your sister were only 13 years old, and this accident actually changed her life so much that by caring for you over the years, she then eventually became a nurse, or what? Did she become a carer and worked in that industry?
Yes, only I became a carer.
And now is she currently working still in hospitals or working as a
Yeah.
carer for people?
Unfortunately, not she's not doing that. She's at home at the moment, but she's not doing it at all anymore. But she worked for us for almost 13, 14 years.
But I believe that to be a carer is a very special person because that takes a lot of patience and compassion and love to be a carer. Martin, you said that you never really felt down about what happened to you, and the physiotherapy was intense for the first 9 months. You had to do a lot of training and exercises, and you spoke about a physiotherapist who was working there, right? That you remember, you made mention of this person that was very, very beloved and loved. What made her so different? She was working obviously with you. Why do you think she stood out, and why did people love her so much?
Because she really had passion and compassion with the job that she did. And she was actually an occupational therapist. And really she crept into many, many hearts. Just the way she handled everything, and the patience that she had with everyone. And every time she sees little tiny, tiny, minute movement, in her arm or whatever, she will take that. And I actually stayed longer in rehab because of that, because now the exercises they give, and then she says there's a little bit of more movement, because just by moving my wrist, I can pick up things, little things. So the more movement you get in your wrist, then she'll say, okay, this means now, oh, there's another
So
month or
she was
so.
so she was very encouraging. She was like a
Yes,
cheer.
yes, she would, every little movement of everything that you get
I
it back.
I love this, Martin, because you know what? We have to celebrate even if it's our smallest successes in life, we should celebrate our successes. And I think she did that, and it actually made you stay longer so that you can just enjoy this personality, this encouragement.
Yeah,
So
and
but there was carers that you felt also throughout your whole story, you seem always very bubbly and on the optimistic and positive, but there was one moment that you felt a little bit disempowered. And I hope you don't mind me putting the light on this, but in that moment, it was also a carer that didn't respect your humanity. And can you just tell me what happened and why did it feel so disempowering? Because, I mean, we would think being paralyzed is the thing that sort of would break a person's spirit, but it was this something that really hurt you a lot, right?
yes. Yeah, it was actually there's one carer. The previous night we cleaned our bowels. You see, so there's a whole system that they do to clean our bowels, because now we're in bed. We can't go to a normal loo or toilet or
A
anything like
toilet, yes, we, yeah.
that. So we in bed. So we do our business in bed, bowel movements and stuff in bed. So he came this morning and cleaned my bum. And then he said it wasn't that dirty. The night shift already cleaned it fairly well. So he just now wipe it again. But then in that same moment, he wanted to still use that same water and wash my face. And I felt so, so, so deeply.
Did you
You know, I,
speak up? Did you say no?
now I speak up. I say, no, but you can't do this. You can't use that water. It doesn't matter if it was fairly clean. There was still stuff there. So you can't use that same water and take that water now to start. Why didn't you wash my first face? Ah, why didn't you wash my
Wash my
face
face first.
first and then go there? Why did you
But
start
was
at
he
the
now arguing with you?
Yes, he was arguing with me and he wanted to overpower me and saying, but yeah, the water is not. And at that moment, and I could see I'm not winning this battle now with this guy. And in that moment, I just started crying. And when he saw that, I could see even his face changed and he just took the bucket of water and just went away, never, and he didn't come back that day again. Or he came back to the ward, but never to me, to assist me again.
Wow. Wow. Because here's the thing. What I love about this story is that he could see in that moment your
Yes.
humanity and that is now sort of hurting you. I have one of my daughters, like they didn't, I could, every one of your children are different. Like for
Mm.
one of my daughters, in order to sort of like discipline, I would say, I'm going to take your toy away. That always worked with her. I have triplets, and the one daughter, I would always tell her, you're going to get a hiding, not that she ever did, but you're going to get a hiding, and that was enough to, to to stop her and to discipline her. But my third child, she's my middle child. It's the triplets, but the middle one. Nothing worked with her. If I was battling with her or whatever, it would not work. But when I showed her emotion, if I cried or if I told her that this is really hurting me, then suddenly she would um, that's what worked for her. And I think so often in this world, when we want to get something and we meet it with a fight, we meet it with a battle, we meet it with resistance, the more in resistance we are, the more it persists, the worse
Yeah.
it got. And I think with this whole thing with you, you never resisted anything that was happening with you physically. You just went with it. And that is why it probably worked out good for you. And that one moment there, you were in resistance, but when you stopped fighting and you actually just cried, you touched that person's heart. And I'm sure you planted a seed that day in his heart to remember that when we work with other people, we need to have this kindness and compassion and imagine yourself in their place. So yeah, let's not go too much in the sadness of that moment, but also you feel that you've forgiven that person, right? That you could.
Yes. No, because I just wanted to say now, years later, I actually met him again, and he had to take care of me again in the hospital because I went for you know, um, uh, operation, a urinary tract operation. So
Yeah.
then I came in, and he had to take care of me, and he took better care of me second
Ah.
time.
So, in some form, working with you earlier was also a teaching for him, and then you could see he became better. He became a better carer. How beautiful! So now I want to just okay. So now going through this process, you finally now out of therapy and you have to leave. So where do you go now? Now do you go back home? How do you continue in your life? And now obviously. You said just before you became paralyzed, you were actually working at Medicross. You became a medical clerk, and you were so fulfilled and satisfied in how the progress that you've made. I mean, you've worked very hard in your life to build up a beautiful life for yourself. With a baby on the way, you had a steady job, and now suddenly you're paralyzed. What do you do now for income, and how did it go from there on when you had to actually go back into the world?
Yeah, like I couldn't go back home either, so I couldn't go stay with my daughter's mom, or I couldn't stay where I rent before because all those places was
Why?
wheelchair
Oh,
friendly.
they're not wheelchair friendly.
At all, at all. I mean, the house that I came with was so tiny. It was a
Oh.
very small, those old mud houses that was built with, with the mud
With a
and
mud
straw.
clay, with a clay.
Yes, yes. So
So
there was.
actually, you couldn't go home and you couldn't go to the family where your village there because you wouldn't be able to function there because now you have this wheelchair and those is not wheelchair friendly. So where
Yes.
did you have to stay?
I'm lucky for my mom where she worked with this last place where she worked at. The lady there, her employer, had multiple sclerosis. And through her, she knew people, friends of her. And then I'm laughing now because that's also another story. But this friend, you'll be surprised now, just listen, but my previous job, when I started out, I actually worked in the security industry. I think you read there that
I
I worked
remember,
in.
yes. First you were in
So now
security, then you went
that,
to Medicross.
yes, at that job was this guy in the wheelchair, but he had calipers as well. So he can still stand and stuff, but getting and so then he comes every day and he just calls me. He just wants to see Swordom, Swordom, Swordom. He don't want anybody else to help him, okay? Okay. And there was a time that I just felt so annoyed by them, and then it just went away. Some or other reason doesn't feeling went away. So I helped him, helped him. So now my mother is now talking with this lady that she's working for. Then she says, but I have a friend, maybe my friend will know. Surprisingly, this friend that she's talking about is the guy that worked, that I helped
Oh, wow.
when I was in the security industry. So
Wow.
then this guy helped my mom and this lady to come in contact with guys that run a house in Pero at the time. But there's also a quadriplegic and paraplegic home. So then they said, but they don't have a place. But there's a place in Kailsriver. Then as my mother now, without my knowledge, actually, she applied and everything to there. So then my mother explained to me the one time she now did all this. Is it okay? What do I think? Because he still it was now to work for my sister. So I said, no, I understand. And I also didn't want to go home because I saw there was other uncle there. They just drank every day because there's nothing to do at home, you see. So I
Okay.
didn't want to do that either. And so then I moved straight from rehab straight to the house in Kuilsriver. And there's now another story. When I got there and I tell them, look, this and this and this happened to me and this. I left, like I said, on the 24th of December, 1996. I went to a shop that's across the road from the police station in Kuilsriver. Went to buy chips and snacks and whatever. But in that there's a road straight from where that shop was across the road next to the police station go down. At that moment when I was going home, they were struggling to get a care, and that is the place I went to go live.
Wow. So the synchronicities, it's like everything was already just falling into place. And, we'll say there's no coincidences, but there
Yeah.
really isn't. There really isn't. Everything just kind of lined up and prepared you for what is coming, right?
That's why I always say to people that I was prepared. That's why I never felt anything. I just seemingly just slipped into this new.
So here's the thing, you're in this house now. Now,
Yeah,
how do you survive? How do you have money? How your motivation is now to look after your newborn baby and
yes.
you and your partner at that point, okay? Um, did you decide not to continue with the relationship? What happened there and how did you earn money from there on? How did you create a living?
Yeah, my daughter's mom and I, we decided at the hospital already with in consultation with social workers that we won't stay together.
Was this heartbreaking for you? Was this
But
devastating?
that was for both of us, but I also understand the situation that we were in. We had to make, somewhere make it work.
Yeah.
So then we split up there, but then they also said when we feel to come back together, I mean, we can do that as things improve. We could come back together again, but it never happened. She felt that she wanted to move on. And then, so I'm now at this house, staying there, and they weren't also not financially, things weren't going too well. So in the end, I got money now from government. And at that time, it was called All Pay, which was now SASSA. So then I, for my 520 at the time, I had to give 500 rand to the house for board and lodging. and I only had 20 rand left.
Okay, so let me just say this now. So you got a very tiny amount of money, like 500 and something, and after paying rent at this house, you had like 20 rand left. Now that you have
Yes,
to live off.
yes. So I had to live off that because the problem also, I didn't get any payout from my previous job or anything because I wasn't even working there for the first 6 months yet.
Oh,
There was still a few days left. But unfortunately, they explained to me they couldn't was not just make me permanent. So there was just a few days left before I got permanent at this job
oh,
also.
wow. And then
So
this happened.
and then this happened. So now I didn't have money, but then I thought, what can I do? But there's nothing. I asked the people that organized it, they stay there, they know of anything. No, there was nothing. So then I just decided one day, it just came to me that why don't you just take one of these tins that they gave you, that you use for the house, and go find a spot where you can sit in town. So then I went up um, and I went to the few places, and then when I got to the bottle store, the manager agreed and he said, "No, it's fine. He doesn't have a problem. I can sit there in front and I can collect money." Yeah, I went through a lot there as well because the people there were, they were saying terrible things to me. I just endured, but I just thought it must say whatever you want. I'm here for a reason and I'm gonna fulfill that. I'm not gonna give up. I'm not gonna back down.
So you're sitting in front of this, is it a shop, and then you're begging now because
Yeah,
like you need to get something more in,
yes,
and this is
yes.
the plan you made at that moment, and everyone's coming and they're saying horrible. What would they say to you? Why would they say horrible things to you?
Just people. This the fact that I sit there, you beg, and now some of the people that there was now these people that live on the street. So I've taken their spot was now
Yeah,
also.
and you're in an advantage because you have a real reason to not
Yes,
work.
yeah, yeah. And then they would say, "Ah, you get disability grant, but look what you're doing. You're taking this away from us now as well." And then there was racial from other people now, racial slurs and stuff, and a lot of things. And the one guy, the one day also came, and then the tin got heavier as money people put money in. So which means now this pressure is bothering my system. So my leg
Where you
went.
holding the tin? On your.
Now I used to just keep it on my lap, on my one leg. So now the heaviness of the tin made me spasm. My
Oh.
leg went into spasms. So this guy just passed there and he got so cross and he swore at me and he said, and he used now the word that they use for colored people, this whatnot stuff. And he said all those words. And then the manager said to him, "But you don't understand, this guy is not pretending to be disabled. He just got I don't know, for some or other reason, this manager understood my situation so good, but he never said to me he knew people that is disabled or anything. But he was a very, very kind person, very, very kind. And he helped me. He even chased people with the same book a few times.
If they were mean with you, he would chase them away.
Good or saying bad things to me. And I loved it when it was
Isn't it amazing how we meet these angels on earth? Every now
yes,
and again, you just meet an angel.
it is. And he was such a wonderful guy. And that made me stay also, never give up because I thought if he can see the reason why I'm here and he understands why I'm here, I'm not here to enrich myself or, you know, go out and buy now name brand stuff. I'm here to feed my
To
child,
survive, to
to
survive,
survive.
and you want to look after your
And
child
yes,
and
yes. And then I sat there for a long time. In the beginning, also, I got very embarrassed because I saw now former teachers and friends, old school friends, and I had the sun is hot, and I had my cap, and I just pull it over my eyes and sit with when I see someone familiar.
so
And
there was a lot of shame. You felt embarrassed and
as it went on, I grew stronger and I got confident and I left my head because I realized the reason why I'm here is not, it's not like I
it's not
said earlier.
because you were lazy. It's not because
Yeah,
it's because there was just. And how long did you have to do that, Martin?
I did that for 2.5 years.
2.5 years. And
Yes.
what did you learn from that experience sitting there? What do you think was the lesson in that 2.5 years where you had to ask and receive help from people?
Um, I think it was just to teach me resilience, to never give up and stay strong in whatever you do and be confident, even doesn't matter what it is and what doesn't matter what people say about you. You don't have to react to what they say, you
Yeah,
know.
or
Yeah,
believe them, or even believe them. You don't have to respond. You don't have to and you don't have to believe them. You had to believe in something deep inside of you and keep the focus on that, right? And know who you are, even if this is where you are at.
and my spirit just keep on telling me, I mean, I wouldn't go there if my spirit is also in line with it, keep me going and all of it. And also I realized with the financial side also in the beginning, maybe 20 rand, 30 rand. But then I realized that there was times that between 10 and 4 o'clock, I would make 3,000 rand.
Wow. On one day.
Yes.
And so you could look after your child in some way.
And it got even more. The times that I liked most was when the Springboks played.
Then the people
Because,
are generous.
oh, because now they come, they still, but sober. Later on, they come, they're a bit tipsy. So now some even say, look, I somehow brought all my tins from home, their money tins that they had at home. They somehow give me, and the boko one, here, take. And then there's something, just fill up my bag with things sometimes.
And
Or
what do
just
you do
one.
with the tins?
No, it's money in. With money, full of money.
Oh, I see, I see, I see.
Yeah.
But listen, so now
It
people
is-
become more generous when they're happy.
yes.
So you actually picked a good spot. But now what made you move from there? If you were doing well and you were I mean, financially, you were actually like now getting by, but what made you decide or what happened that you moved on from there?
And my friend that you saw earlier, we got a job by Pick and Pay because Mr. Eckerman also did a lot for our organization.
So this
Um,
is now the head of Pick and Pay, which is a supermarket, a grocery store. So he
it,
was really supportive of the
yeah,
paraplegic people.
yes, it was actually one of the family stores that in Kelsover that employed us, gave us opportunity to
What did you do there?
security. But it was laughable because me and Brenton were both disabled. But we were actually
I'm not,
one
I'm
of
just laughing at you laughing.
don't worry. Brenton was in the control room, and then one of us would be on the floor with a two-way radio. And then Brenton will call from the control room, come in, Martin, come in, come in. And we were laughing because the people were looking now at this a guy in a wheelchair that's the security. Yeah, we had a lot of fun. Oh my God.
Hey, but listen, what did you have to, how would you, what was the plan? What was the plan here? How would you going to be the security here? What was the
Uh,
plan?
So
Just to
I'm on the
make people
floor.
aware, just to like alert. I mean, you could call
Yeah,
in help.
don't get tired. We in our motorized wheelchairs. We up and down, aisle from to aisle to aisle.
So you're
So we don't get
alert.
tired.
Yes.
Yeah, we're alert. We're very alert. Um,
So
and then
actually, Martin, this is not laughable. It is actually a good security system because you're up and down in your chair and you can look and you
yes,
and people, don't almost see you coming because you're like in disguise, sort of, you
but
can.
now when he calls, and people are, they turn they see you and they look at you because they don't understand. The disabled guys, the security.
But did you and your friend laugh about it a lot? Did you have giggles?
We still, even today, sometimes we make fun of it, we laugh, we say, yo, it was crazy days. And now when it's my time to be in the control room, then I tease Brenton was now, then I call him, go there, go do this, and he's up and down, up and down. But we caught a few guys, but unfortunately, our able friends didn't always do their side properly. We did a good job, but we caught a few.
Well,
you know.
well done on that. Awesome. And so from there on in, now you're working in this the Pick and Pay as security. I love it. I love it. It shows you that anything is possible. You're in this wheelchair and you're the security in the supermarket. So tell me now. Now it's going well. You're actually earning a salary, and how did you get back into? You told me that you've always loved art. You've always loved dancing and music that you sang, and and you even did needlework. And you said you loved needlework, so you've always been very creative. Did you know that as a little child that you can do beautiful paintings, that you're artistic, that you are actually having a serious gift?
No, not really, but I could draw very well because I did my own, school drawings or biology drawings and all that. And then some of the people in my village, their children, usually came to ask me to do the drawings for them because
So
they
you
couldn't.
loved this already as a child.
Yes,
So how did you get back into your art?
it was another guy that, like I said to you earlier, that on the other house that is in Pero, there's quite a pletic house also. So now there was this one guy, he was interested, he was a sculptor before, and he was from Nianell. So he wanted to, he actually heard about the Foot and Mouth Painters Association.
But he was an artist before he got paralyzed.
Before he got paralyzed, yeah, he
But
was a sculptor.
you wouldn't have never even pursued a career in art. You were now before you got
Yeah,
paralyzed. You were
yes,
in a clerk in the Medicross.
yes,
Um,
yes.
so this is just coincident that you actually now go into art.
Yeah. And it's like I said, I know it in school, when I was still in school, I could draw very well. And also in my rehab, the same occupational therapist, she tried to draw now with my hand. And I was a bit impatient with it. Then she said to me one day, why don't I try? She first put the strip with a thing in front, on my
On
forehead.
your head, on your forehead.
And I said, no, I don't like this. I don't want to sit with the thing around my head and draw. Can't I with the mouth? And she said, no, let's try with the mouth. And I did a few, scribbles there in hospital, but I didn't think a lot about. Okay, the one thing that was actually surprising is that I could um, um, write the same way I did with my hand. I could do with my mouth, and that was very surprising. That was really surprising. The same,
But
way
you
that
couldn't do it with your hand anymore, even if you tried with your arm.
yeah, I tried the head strips in and pin and but it wasn't the same. And I
But you could
wasn't it.
write. You
At
could
the
put the pen
moment
in
I
the
put
mouth.
the pen out there, I could still write exactly the same way I did before my accident.
Wow. But this is
Yes,
different muscles. This is a complete different
that's
set of
complete.
muscles.
What I usually say to people, I think the fact that your mouth and your brain is now it's closer. It's not a signal you have to go too far to the
So
arm and
far.
you see, it's right here from the brain to the mouth, and that's why I think maybe it works so good. And yeah, so this guy was looking, he out of the organization, and he was looking for someone that can help us. And then he found someone that was willing to teach us, an able-bodied person. Um, she was willing to give
When
us
you
lessons.
say able body, you mean this is somebody who has a body that's able.
Yeah, like you, for instance, you don't have much
I
more
have an
physical.
able body. You'll call me an able-bodied person.
Yeah.
Okay.
So anyone that doesn't have a physical disability, you see.
Yeah.
So she agreed. She said, "No, I'll do it." And she is a art teacher. She studied at university and everything. So she agreed, and she actually helped us with a lot of our initial things that we needed, for the art. And then we started.
So another angel crossed your path.
uh, angel, Another angel crossed my path. So then she helped us, and we had, took 5 years. For 5 years we took lessons from the Belleville Library.
At the
Um,
line. So did she charge you for these lessons?
no, so nothing at all, nothing at all.
So she taught you how to paint for 5 years,
Mhm.
supplies, bringing some supplies, and taught you.
And sometimes bring us biscuits and cookies and
What
donuts.
an
And
angel!
yes, because her son used to bake donuts from a very small, was from small. He taught himself how to bake donuts so he can sell him, so that he could help his mother. pay for his school, and he actually paid right
So you're
through
telling
him.
me that she's not a wealthy person.
No, she wasn't a wealthy person. She's not a wealthy,
She was just a generous person.
very generous and very loving and caring human being. Honestly, you can feel when you're in her presence, you can feel the warmth coming from it. So yeah, and then she helped us, and that's how I got into the organization.
Martin, do you remember her name?
Yes, no, I know. I'm still in contact with her, Marty
What is her
Westraat.
name?
Her name is Marty Westraat.
Marty, we just want to say thank you for who you are. You are amazing, and I admire your warmth and your kindness. I'm just in tears when I hear about these amazing angels. Marty, thank you, thank you, thank you. So, Martin, 5 years of art lessons, and then what happened?
Then in between, I now applied to the organization, and then in 2002,
So
they
let's just affirm the organization is the Federation of Mouth and Foot or Foot and Mouth
yeah,
Artists or what?
artists, yes. So we had offices in Kemp. It was many years ago. It was in Kempton Park in Johannesburg. Then our director moved it to George, and now with COVID and all the problems and everything, unfortunately our office had to close. So we don't have offices, but our director still she's still operating and doing what she need to do. And because she still works with a organization overseas, which is in Switzerland.
So what does this organization do?
It's an organization was started by a guy called Arnold Erich Stegman. He was also a disabled guy, but he could still walk, but he couldn't use his arm. So he painted with his mouth and he could paint with his feet.
Oh, wow.
So he started organization many years ago actually in Germany. And then in 1957 they had their first meeting and they formulated this whole organization and everything. And in 1958 it moved to South Africa.
Wow.
They started the office here, and like I said earlier, the office is in Kempton Park. Yeah. So this organization actually, there's all over the world they have artists that paint for this organization. Um,
But you have to apply, you have to do auditions,
no,
right? You just don't get into it.
now you don't just get into it. You have to paint five. At that time, it was five paintings that you have to paint and submit. And according to that, then they'll approve or not approve you. But luckily for me, they approved me, and that is the
What
time.
happens if they approve you? What happens if they approve you?
When they approve you, you become a student with the organization, and then they give you a stipend, a monthly stipend, which now you can use to buy your other art, whatever you need for your art.
So
And then
paint, tools and paint and
yes,
supplies and stuff like that.
you need to do your job. And then also from that, you can use now to have so that you have a phone so that they can have communication with you. If it's enough, or you, in a way, you can use some of that to put away to buy you a proper wheelchair. Anything that you can do
To
to
work.
help us to do to work here. So then you become, but they have three levels. So now I'm at the level of associate member.
Right
So
now.
yes.
So
So
what
now
is the three levels? Let's start from the beginning.
yes, the first level is to become a student. When you apply and they approve you to become a student. And
If
then
you're a
there's
student, do you continue your studies? They teach you some more?
yes, you need to teach on your own. They don't, you have to find your own art teacher, your own
I
stuff,
see, I see.
wherever you are. Yeah. So after that, so every year you send in a certain amount of paintings. They evaluate it, and according to what they see, they'll promote you. So I joined 2002. In 2014, they promoted me to associate member,
What
which
does
means
that
now
mean? What does that mean? Associate member, what is
I have voting rights. I can vote, and then also I get a salary now.
what do
So
you
my
vote for? For other people to come in?
yes, because now the organization, it's most of these members is disabled people. There's a few able-bodied people that run, that work with them. So to run the organization,
But the
But now,
organization make money from the paintings that you all
yeah,
paint.
from the paintings, but they do reproductions from the paintings. Also, they do a lot of other stuff like Christmas cards. They do cups, so they
Oh, beautiful.
mountains of cups and a lot of stuff. They put your motives on there. So it's across the whole world, this organization. So which means they sell across the world, all these products and the paintings and stuff. But we don't get, like maybe you will get royalties in with singing and stuff. I'm not sure, but I think people say it was in singing, but we don't get royalties. We get the salary,
Your
just the
salary. And then
yes.
what is the third level?
And the third level is when you become full member. Then you're full member. You have now. Then they can you can be voted onto the executive committee. You know, one of the
Does your
top guys.
salary go a bit bigger?
Yes, and your salary go bigger, yeah. And you don't have to work as hard as when you work as when you a
But you are a
student.
full member now of this organization. And I
And
believe that you've even traveled to Spain.
because I have voting right, then they invite you every 4 years, wherever the meeting will be held. They invited they invite you. My
Oh,
first one, Spain. Unfortunately, we couldn't do the other one because it was in COVID
oh,
time.
COVID.
But I'm invited now to go to London next year in
Oh,
April.
wow, that's going to be
Um,
exciting. Another.
it will be
And you
really.
told, you said that your sister actually joined you when you went to Spain, and that was a beautiful journey for you.
Yes,
But
because like I said earlier, she looked after me when she was 13 years old. So I just thought that was very fitting for me on my first journey like that because I couldn't take my mother with because I could only take one person. It's now my carer also. My sister, I knew no, she can't do the job. So then I said now she must go
what a
with me.
gift. Well, she must
Mhm.
have loved it, right?
No, she did, oh, she did.
So, Martin, there is so much that goes into this, into painting and everything. I mean, if you have to have a paintbrush in your mouth, you know, you don't want to get heavy metal poisonings because of all the paint and all the kind of things. So you use specific paint, health for the health purposes. And is there anything that you want to just tell us about, you know, the differences with painting with your mouth than being a normal artist that just paints? So you needed to learn different techniques and things to use to for the health as well, right?
Yes, for the health as well. So we don't use any oils with our paint. The paint that we use is a water-soluble oil. So you can still just mix and clean your brushes, everything just with clean water. You don't have to use any insolvents or anything like that. So, and that's just a huge help, like you said, because if we had to use now turpentine and all this so close up, it would have been a
Yeah, the fumes and the poisons and stuff. So so now you are making the most beautiful paintings, and you have a lovely relationship with your daughter. I loved how you said patience, and when you go shopping with her and she doesn't buy anything, but it's 3 hours just patiently waiting for her to look through everything. So you've managed through all of this to have a beautiful relationship with your daughter, right?
yes.
And you still stay in touch with your with the mother as well of the daughter. So
No, just this morning I said to one of my carers, I said, now this year, I said to my daughter that when she comes visit again, she must bring her mother with so that the mother also can come visit
and
and
I
everything.
believe that you are a grandfather.
Yes, I'm a grandfather of a 4-year-old and a 10-year-old.
Congratulations. What a full, beautiful life. Have you ever imagined your life going this direction, Martin, when you were younger?
No, I never ever thought that I would, have such a beautiful, beautiful life.
So would you
Um,
say, Martin, that becoming paralyzed, was it a curse or was it a blessing?
it was absolutely a blessing. I can say that without a doubt, with a clear mind, heart. There's no doubt in my mind, in my heart that
I can feel it. You from being raised by beautiful, strong women who made the best of what was available to them. And here you go, and you were actually traveling the world, and you're painting paintings that isn't being celebrated and enjoyed by the world. And you've taken something that would create a trap or a prison for so many people, and you've used this to create the most amazing freedom for yourself. This is what is just so incredible for me. And I just want to ask you one thing. If to end off, if you could leave everyone who's listening here with just some wisdom, just something that you would like to share with people, if just like a final something that you would like to share with people, what would that be?
It would be, I would say to people, wherever you feel life is tough, never ever give up. Never give up because when you give up on yourself. Nobody else. You give up on yourself and you give up on a beautiful world out there. There's so much that we can still do and learn from this life that we're living. And as we grow older, we understand there's certain things that I personally also didn't understand. But as you grow, and especially you grow spiritually, you will understand more and you will have a deeper understanding of why we are here or why certain things happen
And
while you
so,
grow.
what would you say, Martin, is your spiritual understanding now after everything that you've gone through?
Yes. Everything that I went through from when I was born until now, how I understand it, it was all just to teach me, to teach my soul, my spirit to evolve, to improve. And and that's how I see it because everything, when I look back, everything was a lesson. Every little bit of pain, every little bit of downfall, every bit of getting up, you know, like I said earlier, to know how the coincidences, how it just, nothing is like, what did you say? Nothing is a
Nothing's an
coincidence.
accident. So what you're saying is there's something larger than us at work. And if you can just let go and trust that.
Yeah, sometimes because we don't understand it from a physical side, we don't understand everything. We think, oh, why is life so hard? Why is it so painful? Why I have to go through this? But just be patient. You'll see, the light at the end of the tunnel, and then you'll understand all this pain and suffering wasn't for nothing.
So you
It was
say what you're saying is that you had this deep knowing always in your heart that there is a reason for whatever happens. You didn't question why. You just knew I have to trust this. So it was, I often teach classes where I say it's the need to understand things that drives us crazy and that keeps us in resistance. It's when we
yeah.
trust, fully trust that we can be in acceptance of what is. And when we accept things as they are, that's when when the understanding comes, right?
Come in we come then in line with what do you call it now? Um with God source, like like with
With the
because now
creator, with the source of all
yeah,
life.
yeah. Yes, and
So
then
after
you
all that you've learned now, how do you see God? How do you see the creator of all life? Is it for you? Is it somebody in the sky that punishes you, that took your abilities away? Or how are you experiencing this miraculous um,
also no, it is
creator?
not sitting somewhere punishing me. He's with me every day, all the time. We never separated. And he loves me unconditionally. Like the word says, he loves you unconditionally. And I don't for 1 minute think that all these things that I went through was because God punished me and pushing me down and, hurting me. No, it's just love.
It was a
Love.
blessing. It was a blessing. And it took you on an adventure of a life where you have become an amazing artist and an amazing human being. Martin, thank you so much for spending time with me, for sharing your story with me, your heart with me, and your artwork with the world. Uh, Truly, it was such a blessing to speak to you.
Oh, thank you very much. It was an honor also to speak to you after so many years. After, because to be honest, in 2 days' time, in 2009, you did a concert for us.
Wow.
In the 19th of September 2009.
Wow. And
And I,
September is my birthday month. I remember going there and I'm so excited because you gifted me a painting that
yes,
I'm going to get from you. And thank you for gifting me this beautiful painting. I'm going to share it here with people so they can see this magnificent work that you do. And I just want to end off by saying, guys, remember, it doesn't matter what happens to you. What happens is how you respond, how you react. Like Martin says, we can be in full acceptance of what is, because there's a deep trust and a knowing that there is something much larger than us taking care of things, and there is a lesson in everything. And if I take one thing from Martin is that anything is truly possible if you believe it. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that subscribe button now. Keep on shining.